Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Betting Show on the Grueling True Sports Network. We are at Thanksgiving Day. We're going to pick all three games on Thanksgiving. We're going to pick tomorrow's Friday game. We're going to give you the best bets there to make a little bit of money on the holidays. You can go to BetMGM. You can click on the link in the description down below in YouTube. And we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, with my other host, Steve Risley. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing great this morning. Happy Turkey Day to everybody. I got turkey going in the oven. Can smell it already. It's only 5 or 6 o'clock out here now in LA.
Well, don't take that long to fix a turkey, Steve.
Yeah.
But, all right, let's look at today's first game. We've got the
Hey, Mike.
Detroit.
Mike.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna
go ahead.
say a little trivia. Actually, I gleaned from the. Were you going to talk about the trivia about Thursday Thanksgiving football, or you want me to do it?
No, I wasn't going to.
Okay, well, people often wonder, how did it come that we started playing football on Thursdays, on Thanksgiving Day? A day of feasting and family. And it started in 1934 when George Richards, who was a radio exec in Detroit, purchased the Portsmouth, Ohio Spartans. And he moved the team to Detroit. And in Detroit that year, you had the Detroit Lions, who were on their way to winning World Series championships. The Detroit Tigers, I'm sorry. And you had the Michigan Wolverines, who were national champions of football. And the NFL was still fledgling at that point, not the powerhouse that it is today. So he was trying hard. George, the radio exec, being that he was trying hard to get his team recognized in the city of Detroit. So he decided to go and play on Thanksgiving Day. And he partnered up with NBC because the radio station, WJR, was an NBC affiliate and thus became the first Thanksgiving Day football game in 1934. And it was the Detroit Lions versus I believe it was the Chicago Bears. At the time. And that's how Thanksgiving Day football actually originated. And that's why every year, regardless of their stature in the NFL, as paying homage to George Richards and the Detroit Lions, the Lions always play on Thanksgiving Day, regardless whether they're 1 and everything, 0 and everything, which they've been before, and including this year's team, which has only lost 2 games?
Yeah, 8-2.
8-2. So just a little bit of starting trivia for the Turkey Day you can take back to your family and friends who are sitting at the table and tired of talking about, is Biden or Trump the bigger idiot of the two? You can now bring up how we came to watch NFL football on Turkey Day. There you go, Mike. How's that for a piece of information to start the day
That
with?
was absolutely riveting.
I have to say, the foundation of what I just said came from a article posted by one of our intrepid field reporters on the grueling truth. That's what got me to research it and look it up. So that's why you should always tune in for your sports knowledge to the grueling truth, because of Mike's background, we dive into deep history of sports, not just always look at what's happening in sports today, but how we came to be and why the NFL is what it is today and why we play football, NFL football, on Thanksgiving Day. So, Mike, on behalf of all of us sports fans, thank you to you for having the forethought to create the grueling truth. Almost as important as George Richards, who created Turkey Day football in the NFL.
All right. And, of course, as always, the Detroit Lions will be the noon kickoff.
Oh, come on.
What?
Give me a little more credit than that.
Credit for what?
That was brilliant what I just did.
Yes, you were brilliant, Steve.
All right.
It was
go ahead.
absolutely mind-numbingly awesome. But today we've got the Detroit Lions, who will kick off at noon against the Green Bay Packers, NFC North, the black and blue division. The Lions are nearly at full strength right now, but their only starter expected to miss is left guard Jonah Jackson. Going from Jackson to Colby Sorsdal is a big drop off as the fifth round rookie has really struggled this year and allowed a team high 4 pressures while filling in for Jackson. However, the Lions are an elite offensive line and can overcome one player being out. So this is as healthy as the Lions have been in a while. You've got the Packers dealing with key injuries on defense. Devondre Campbell, linebacker, cornerback Zaire Alexander are shaping up to be game time decisions. If either one is ruled out, it will only boost the outlook for the Lions offense. And right now, the spread is bouncing between -7 to -8.5 in favor of Detroit Lions. I almost said Tigers. See, because of what you said at the start, I almost completely forgot what sport we were even doing. But Packers offense has been decimated by injuries and will have to scramble to sort it all out in a short week. Running backs Aaron Jones and Emmanuel Wilson have already been ruled out, making A.J. Dillon the lead back. Even Dillon is expected to play through a groin injury. So injuries are a huge issue here. Dontavian Wicks has been emerging as one of Green Bay's top wide receivers, but he appears unlikely to be cleared from his concussion in time to play. And you've got tight end Luke Musgrave was placed on the IR as he was hospitalized with a lacerated kidney. It's going to be difficult for Jordan Love and the Packers offense to operate with so many players expected to miss, especially on a short week. And you've got to figure Ford Field is going to be absolutely electric. I mean, when's the last time the Detroit Lions were 8-2? I think it was the 1960s. So the Packers on a short week with a lot of injuries, Steve, are facing an uphill battle here in Detroit today.
Yeah, boy, Mike, that was an eloquent dive into this game. I don't know that I could add much to it, other than the fact that the Packers are in the hunt for a wild card spot in the playoffs, so they have something to play for here. They have a chance. There'll be probably an outside chance to qualify for the playoffs. From here on out, we'll be talking about playoff opportunities for teams, all teams that are still eligible for the playoffs. So the Packers are in the hunt, so they've got something to play for. This is a rematch from Week 4, where the Packers lost to the Lions 34-20 at Lambeau Field. It wasn't the frozen tundra yet, but they did play there. I don't think that they're much of a match for the juggernaut of the Detroit Lions this year. Today, Jared Goff is playing the finest football that he's played in his NFL career. I think you'll see the offensive attack of Detroit focus heavily on a running game, and maybe take some pressure off Goff if they can, because I think, as you said, the Packers are pretty beat up here. I think we're going right now with what our latest is a 7.5-point spread.
Yeah, we're going to go with 7.5. We're going to kind of split the difference. I've seen anywhere from 7 to 8.5. Last night before I went to bed, it was usually 7 almost every place. So the line is spread out a little bit here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna predict and say that I think this may be the lock of the day. Is take the 7.5, give up the 7.5, and take the Lions. I don't think the Packers have the manpower right now to take on a healthy Detroit Lions team at Ford Field on Turkey Day. I think that crowd will be ready to go. The team will be juiced up. They'll want to attack with their running game, get the game over early, because they have chestnuts on roasting on an open fire and they have turkey in the oven. So, and I think they'll want to get home and
nose.
Yeah. And they'll want to get home and get to feasting. They'll feast on the Packers first, then they'll go home and feast on turkey later on in the day and watch the other good games we got for the day. So give up the 7.5 and take the Lions, guys. I feel good about this one.
All right, I'm going to take the Lions also for show purposes, since we have to give our bet. But I think I have a better bet. Now, number one, there's a few stats here that really stood out to me. The Lions appear to be to play against the short-handed Packers on a short week. In the wild card era, which means since 1990, favorites of 7 or more points on Thanksgiving are 27-4 straight up, 23-8 against the spread. I think the sharper play here is to target the first half. The better team, the Lions, will likely get off to a fast start, while the Packers may need a few drives to get comfortable with their new personnel groupings. Also, the Lions are 7-3 against the spread in the first half, while the Packers are 4-6. The Packers only averaged 5.9 points per game in the first half. The Packers' opponents score almost 12 points per game. So they give up almost twice as many as they score in the first half. And the Lions average a little over 15 points per half. So you can actually go on BetMGM and find that the first half line, which is just betting what the score will be at halftime, the Lions are only favored by 4.5 points. So I think if you want to make money on Thanksgiving, go bet the Lions minus 4.5 with the first half. But overall, I'm going to agree with Steve. I'm going to take or give them minus 7.5. I'll give it up to 8.5. I think the Detroit Lions will win this game somewhere in the vicinity of 34-17. So I'm going to take the Lions also. But my lock pick of the day is bet the first half spread at minus 4.5 and go with Detroit and give those 4.5 points. Next up, we've got Washington, the Commanders, against the Dallas Cowboys. That line has bounced anywhere from 11 to 13. We're going to call it 12.5 right here. And since the 49ers dismantled the Cowboys on that Sunday night back in week 5, Dak Prescott has been the hottest quarterback in the NFL. He's averaged 308 passing yards per game over his past 5 outings while throwing 16 touchdowns. Despite an ineffective running attack ranked 22nd in the NFL right now, the Cowboys have a top 10 offense in yards per play on the season. Even with Mike McCarthy's conservative play-calling nature, he's realized his team is best suited to aggressively attack through the air. This is not the Cowboys team of old that will simply, sit on a lead in the second half. Now, on the opposite side, the Commanders' defense has gotten progressively worse throughout the season. They traded key pieces in the pass rush. The secondary simply doesn't have the personnel to hold up in coverage. The Commanders' pass defense ranks 32nd in the NFL with an overall schedule rank of 27th, meaning they have also faced one of the easier slates of offenses, which makes it even more concerning that they rank last. The defense is coming off a performance in which it allowed Tommy DeVito to complete 69% of his passes for 11.2 yards per completion. The Cowboys have scored on 50% of their possessions over the last 5 weeks. Only one team has been better on a per possession basis during that time. Now, the red zone troubles that dominated narrative early on for the Cowboys have been gone as of late, as they've converted 16 of 25 red zone chances into touchdowns in week 5. So when we look at this game, Steve, the Cowboys are playing for something. The Commanders really aren't. The Washington offense is led by Sam Howell, who gets the hell beat out of him all the time because there's no line, basically. So when we look at this game, how do you give the Commanders any chance here? This is a divisional matchup, which usually get closer games. The Commanders have jumped up and played teams tougher than we expected at times this year, like their 2 games with the Eagles. What's your take on this game, Steve?
This is another one. This is another traditional game that's played, and it's the old Cowboys versus Redskins game. That was a staple along with Detroit playing. You almost always saw the Cowboys and the Redskins play. Of course, we know due to wokeism in the United States, the Cowboys, the Indians, or the Redskins had to change to the Commanders. So just the change in name takes some of the luster away to me. That when you had the Cowboys and the Redskins playing on Thanksgiving Day, but it is the same team. The Commanders, as you said, tend to show up on this day and always seem to make this a good game. This is some of the funnest games played between these two teams, and I think that ability definitely weighs into this game. I do think this is a fun game to watch, and I think the Commanders are going to play better than they've been playing the rest of the season and probably make this closer game than we think it'll be. I don't think they're going to win the game, and I'm actually going to go ahead and say I'm going to give up the 11 points right now and take the Cowboys because the Cowboys.
12.5, Steve.
It's what?
12.5.
12.5 now. Oh, there you go. Yeah, okay. I'm okay at 12.5 really because, as you said, the Cowboys are just a juggernaut right now. That are just, they're an offensive machine. Micah Parsons is locking them down defensively, and it's a stalwart defensive team. they're not making a lot of mistakes, which Jerry Jones may wake up this morning and change all that in a heartbeat. You never know with good old Jerry Jones. But I think at 12 and a half, I still feel comfortable with the Cowboys here. They're playing in Dallas, I believe. And I think the home field advantage plays a little bit here. They're going to want to get home quick too and get to their turkey. So I would suggest that you give up the 12 and a half and take the Cowboys.
All right. Yeah, I think here the Cowboys defense creates havoc. They convert those opportunities efficiently into points. That's what they've done most of this season. They're even more dangerous in their home stadium. The Cowboys have averaged 40 points per game at Jerry World and have scored at least 30 in all home games this season against a defense that can't defend the pass and a turnover-prone offense that will create short fields and extra opportunities. Expect the Cowboys to once again light up the scoreboard. I think the Cowboys win this game 38-10. I don't even think it's going to be close. Um, the only interesting thing will be who the halftime show is during the game. So I think we're both going to go ahead. We're going to both take Dallas, give the 12 and a half points there. And that brings us to tonight's game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are getting 7 points in this game. And when you look at this divisional matchup, I mean, the 49ers basically can almost clinch the division tonight with a win. It'll put them up 2 games. It'll give them the tiebreaker. The Seahawks are in a must-win situation. And when you look at these teams, Seattle's defense has struggled to overcome penalties, especially this last Sunday against the Rams. They've got an aggressive secondary, had a pass-happy Carl Sheffers at referee. But most of the Seahawks defensive games came against teams dealing with major injuries. The Browns, Giants, Bengals. Now they face a healthy San Francisco offense. It's hard to see Seattle's scheme troubling this 49ers juggernaut. Brock Purdy has been one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL this year. And the biggest weakness for the Seahawks defense in this matchup for the last couple of years has been tackling. And the Seahawks ranks 27th in the NFL in tackling. Now, the main question surrounding this matchup, especially when you look at the Seahawks, is the health of Geno Smith. Smith left the Rams game after taking a hit on his throwing elbow, and it was heavily wrapped on the sideline. Once the Seahawks went down, they needed him to try and engineer a game-winning drive. He managed to return and move them into field goal range in a losing effort. So is he going to be healthy? Is he going to play? Well, that's a game-time decision. The Seahawks also lost Kenneth Walker III to an oblique injury, but Zach Charbonnet it sounds like a wine, doesn't it? Was already eating into Walker's playing time. Charbonnet is a superior receiving back, but there are questions about his ability to carry the load. The 49ers defense has solid numbers overall, but they're not nearly as elite as the market is suggesting with this total on the points, which is in the mid-40s, which seems pretty low for this game. The 49ers rank 14th in both yards allowed per drive and success rate, and now they'll be without their safety, Talauna Hufanga, for the remainder of the season. He's a key contributor to this defense that has a tendency to wreak havoc. Now, the over-under here is 44, but it was immediately bet down because of Smith's health. So we don't even know if Geno Smith's going to go, which makes this game even more intriguing, Steve.
Yeah, this is a matchup for the lead in the NFC West. The 49ers come in at 7-3, and the Seahawks come in at 6-4. It's the top 2 teams out there. Seahawks are coming off a very tough loss at SoFi in Los Angeles last week against the Rams. An emotional win for the Rams, saving their coach's job for another week probably. 49ers, of course, we know had that 3-game slump. Brock Purdy looked almost human again. But I think that the 49ers have rebounded offensively from that and gone back to being and looking like the best team in the NFL, although right now I'd say that the Eagles can lay some claim to that as well. All the reasons you said, I think that the 49ers are back to playing 49er football that we saw at the beginning of the year. And I think the injuries affecting Seattle, right now, I think Seattle needs to hang on for a wild card spot if they can. They got to get Geno Smith healthy, but if he doesn't play, I think it's a lock. If he does play, He's probably not going to be healthy coming off a short week and is beat up. So I'm going to give up the 7.5 points, and they're going to up to Seattle for this game. I'm going to go up to 7.5 and take the 49ers, who I think once again are playing 49er football, which is one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you yet again. To me, all 3 of these games look like they're easy to pick. I'm sure that means at least one of them will be wrong on, but I just don't see Seattle hanging with San Francisco. And San Francisco, they lost a close game to Cleveland. They lost to Cincinnati. They lost 3 games in a row at one point. But I think they're the better team. You get Deebo Samuel back in the fold now. I don't think Seattle's going to be able to keep up with them. I think the 49ers win this game. I think they cover to 7 points. I think you get a 30-10 San Francisco winning this game, which brings us to Friday. We've got a Black Friday game where we've got the New York Jets, who have no offense whatsoever, but a great defense, battling the Miami Dolphins, who have a very good offense and a seemingly improving defense. And have you seen HBO's Hard Knocks in season, which started this week yet, Steve, with Coach McDaniel and the Dolphins?
No, I have not seen it. I saw it was on. I do have it on tape, but I have not watched it. I watched Bryant Gumball's delve into Jim Irsay as the on Real Sports on HBO. I watched that. I had a choice between the two, and since I am a Colts fan, I wanted to see what Gumball had to say about Jim Irsay. It was not flattering. Of course, Jim did not give himself much of a chance.
Jim Irsay is an idiot, by the way.
He came across as that, unfortunately, when he was pulled over for drunk driving. He said that the police were targeting white rich billionaires.
Yes, they do, because there's so many out there to target.
Anyway, we're getting off target. I have not seen it yet, but the interesting thing about the Jets is Aaron Rodgers now is taking the blame for who's the quarterback that got benched this week for them?
Zach Wilson.
And he says he takes full responsibility of that because of his injury. Boy, Mike, is there any chance that Rodgers plays today?
No.
No chance at all.
Number 1, the game's tomorrow. Number 2, he's hurt.
Plays tomorrow, okay. Well, we never know with Aaron Rodgers. That guy's capable of doing it.
Hey, and real quick, before you make your pick, we're going to look at the Niner gang says, we deep frying some Seahawks today. Happy Thanksgiving. Joseph Michael says, carry a load. LMAO. Robert Carter says, go Pittsburgh. Robert Stewart says, happy birthday or happy Thanksgiving from Vero Beach. Happy Thanksgiving, Robert. We will be on, myself and Steve, with Brian Moore tomorrow night on the IU basketball show. Make sure you keep an eye out there. And Robert also gives us his pick. He's taking the Dolphins, giving the 9.5. Steve, what do you think? Do you agree with him?
I agree. I think the Dolphins are back to playing close to they played at the beginning of the year when they were just dumping teams offensively. I think Tagliabue is settled himself down and is playing good football again. Jets dumping a new quarterback into a marquee game like this on national television. There'll be a lot of dads and husbands sitting around saying, I am not going Black Friday shopping. I'm going to be one of those people. No way. I'm taking my big Ram 1500 pickup truck and trying to park in a parking spot in LA, which are parking spots made for Priuses and smart cars. So it's not going to happen to me. I'm going to be watching this game. And I think the Dolphins are going to cover the 9.5 points. And I think it's a pretty good bet for you. So take the Dolphins, give up the 9.5 over the Jets, who just with the loss of Aaron Rodgers had their season derailed right then.
Yeah, and with New York handing the starting quarterback job to, I think his name's Tim Boyle.
Yeah,
its season is officially over. The Jets aren't equipped to keep pace with the Miami offense with any of the signal callers on their depth chart, especially given their lackluster offensive line play. It would be a miracle if New York's offense rose to the occasion on a short week when it mattered. And the Jets defense will play well for 2 or 3 drives, but it won't be enough to slow down the Dolphins, because even though the Jets defense is good, just the fact that their offense is going to continue to go 3 and out will lead to them breaking somewhere late first quarter, early second quarter. And I think that Tua shines under the bright lights of national TV on Black Friday, and Miami wins. Miami covers. I'm going to take Miami 9.5. So right now we've agreed on every game being played this week. Now hold
This
on,
is a bad
Robert.
omen, Mike.
Robert Carter says Pittsburgh Steelers 31, Cincinnati 17. Now, I don't know because I'm not really convinced that Kenny Pickett is really better than Jake Browning. But I don't think there's a world where that game sees 48 points scored. I think your final score on the Bengals Steelers is somewhere like 13-10 or 16-13. Now tomorrow, we will be doing the rest of the Pick'em show. We'll pick all the games for Sunday night, and Monday night. So make sure you check back tomorrow with that. So we'll pick them all then. But Robert, I think, is just trying to annoy me, which is fine.
Is Burrows out for the season?
Joe Burrow's out for the season. We got Jake Browning leading us to the promised land, though.
I'm going to tell you what, I'm pretty happy about that. It gives the Colts a chance when they go down to Cincinnati this year.
It probably doesn't. But,
oh, come on.
You got Jim Irsay. What else
he doesn't get on the field and play.
It's a good thing because he would probably die of a stroke immediately.
He's not going to change the Colts up. Colts are making a playoff run right now. They're in the hunt.
Sure they are.
Hey, anytime I know they would not go far in the playoffs, but
wait a second. Right now, the Bengals sit ahead of the Colts, I think, in the playoff run.
No, they don't.
You sure? What's your record?
5-5.
So are the Bengals.
I know, but in the tie-breaking system, the Colts are ahead.
It doesn't matter because they play each other, Steve, so they're tied.
Yeah, that'll be the determining factor between the two when they play. Well, let's save that for the big game.
The other determining factor is this, though. You guys play in a horrible division. It's not as bad as we thought it would be, though, because the Jags and the Texans are all right.
Yeah. I tell you, we have to play both those teams once again. No, we don't. We don't play the Jags.
Well, I'll trade you. Jags. You could play the Jags and the Texans, or we'll play the Jags, Texans, and you can mess with the Ravens and the Browns.
We already beat the Ravens for you. We did our part for you.
The Colts have been outscored this season too.
Step up.
The Colts are 1-4 at home and 4-1 away.
That's right.
That's sad.
Hey, trust me, I live in Los Angeles. Being away from Indianapolis is a good thing.
Yeah, and your schedule is like cake. I mean, you're not a playoff team, but you might get in it just because of your schedule.
Why do you think the Colts are 5-5? Because they play in the
because of the schedule. South. I mean, you've got
otherwise they'd be 1-9.
The Colts play. The Colts host the Buccaneers, go to Tennessee, go to Cincinnati, host Pittsburgh, go to Atlanta, host the Raiders, and then host the Texans. It's not an overly difficult schedule.
Hey, well, how are we doing on our hat bet?
Well, I think you're like 2 games behind now.
Am I?
Yeah, hold on, I'll tell you.
What was the hat bet?
The hat bet was who would finish with the better record, the Bills or the Dolphins.
I'm losing that one.
I said the Dolphins. Dolphins are 7-3. You said the Bills. The Bills are 6-5. So right now you're 1.5 games behind.
Oh, I got no chance there. So what do you want? You want a fitted cap?
Well, I want it to fit no matter what. So
all right. Well, you want to snap adjust head or what? I don't know how people with no hair.
What the hell does that mean? We wear hats just like everybody else.
I know, but I don't know sizing. See, I got this big mop of hair here that I gotta go to a 7 3/4.
Oh yeah, you're gonna owe me a hat because the Dolphins schedule. They play the Jets this week. Then they go to Washington. Then they host Tennessee, and then they host the Jets. So they should win 4 more games in a row right there.
Yeah, and Buffalo's playing in the AFC North, which is arguably the best division. In
Buffalo's playing in they're in the AFC East.
Oh,
or do you mean the teams they play? Let's look at Buffalo's schedule here for the hat bet. Buffalo goes to Philadelphia, goes to Kansas City, hosts Dallas, goes to the Chargers, hosts the Pay. You might as well give me the hat now. Steve,
I'm buying you the hat now.
Yeah.
And see, you want a Dolphins hat, right?
No, I don't want a Dolphins hat. I haven't made up my mind yet. I'll have to think about it. I'm going to pick out the most expensive hat in the world.
All right. Go to Fanatics. Go to Fanatics and get the new era.
I don't want to do it today because if I do it today, Steve, they got like 70% off. So that would save you money. So we'll wait a little while longer.
Oh, God, you're evil.
But hey, I want to thank everybody on Thanksgiving morning that shared your
Yeah.
Thanksgiving morning with us. We've actually
Robert's always there.
we've had a lot more people watch this with no promotion or anything. Dan Kornhauser is sick on Thanksgiving morning, which is why he's not here. Hopefully he can join us tomorrow when we pick the rest of the games this week. If not, we'll have to get Joseph Michael on to pick the games because he's a
I'd
dumbass.
love to have Joe on.
You could outpick Joe. Joe's like watching a blind deaf
Joe's
man
a
trying to
smart
pick
man.
football games.
Joe's out there doing his service to our community and working hard.
It's Thanksgiving morning. He's sitting on the toilet eating chicken wings.
Oh, come on.
But
I like Joe.
Everybody likes Joe.
I like Robert Carter and Robert Stewart.
I know Robert Carter kind of annoys me though with the Pittsburgh crap.
Well, that's a good pick right now, Mike. Come on, you can't.
Not 31-17.
Not without Joe Burrow. With Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals are a different football team.
Yeah, and the Steelers are still the same because
right now you're going to get Mixon hurt next. Bengals are spiraling.
All right.
Yeah, how about that? Congrats to the Landmark Eagles on a good football season.
Yeah, we lost in the national championship game because officials are stupid. We're down a touchdown with 4 minutes left. Get first and goal at the 3, run 3 plays, and the dumbass official that's supposed to be in charge said it was 4th down and gave the other team the ball back. So we got screwed. So all the times on here where I've said that an official never cost you a game, in 31 years that I've coached football, there is now that one time where an official directly cost my team a game.
That's a sad thing. That's very sad. I was not there, so I did not see it. But I cannot believe that instant replay would not allow you to check.
No instant replay in high school football.
Somebody had that game on film and could show.
We had it on film. We had it we got the iPads on the sideline where you can watch the previous play. And we offered to show it to the officials, but the officials weren't having it. And then they threw my defensive coordinator out of the game because he told them the game was being reffed like a prison game. And they threw him out of the game and gave us 30 yards in unsportsmanlike penalties.
And put him in football prison.
Yes, they put him in football prison. But then, he outsmarted him. He hid behind the ambulance, the EMTs, with his headset on and continued to call the defense. So that's the one thing about officials. They all are stupid.
Oh, you know what I'd do? I'd go out and slit the tires of the referees' cars.
We didn't know whose cars they were. We thought about that.
There you go.
All right, guys. And remember, if you want to bet, go to BetMGM. It's the top sports book for betting on football. You can find it. Click the links in the description down below in the YouTube video. Make sure you follow Steve Risley at SRisley34. You can follow me at Grueling Truth. But for now, guys, I'm Mike Goodpaster. He's Steve Risley. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.